with this moral imperative, create the idea of good and evil. So it takes all of these things working in cohort to create the notion of good and evil. That notion then of good and evil is then internalized, right, within the mind of the devotee, right, within the mind of the individual who the law has been built to control. And that state of affairs tells me that there must be conformity, right, as Nietzsche says, of both act and intent, right? And this is where Kant comes in heavy, right? And this is where Nietzsche hates Kant, right? Because it wasn't just about sort of this consequentialist conformity of act, but also the intent and act must both conform. This is how we create consciousness, or conscious, C-O-N-S-C-I, right? This is how we create consciousness. So that the idea of consciousness comes at the tail end of this very long, elaborate lie, this very long, elaborate superstructure to create the idea with, he would say, this is a lie. Right? The idea of conscious is a lie, period. It's a lie. We don't have it. We believe we have it. We want to have it. We tell ourselves that we have it. You see a laser pen, a laser light, right, that you would use to give a lecture, and you point the laser light at one end of the board and you run it across the other end of the board, and you want to say that the light traveled from the left to the right, rather than recognizing that it's a perceived succession of empirical events where light waves were emitted and absorbed and blah, 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 right? So we want to tell a narrative, right? We want to tell a story. Nobody wants to believe that I don't have a conscience, right? That there isn't this thing internally that regulates and assesses good from bad, right? Which is why I love stuff like Toni Morrison, Beloved, so much, because it challenges the notion. She might not have, no, of course she did. She definitely did it to challenge the notion of, obviously not just good and evil or right and wrong, but maybe even the notion of conscience. Are we justified in saying there is this internal voice that tells me what's right and wrong? This sort of barometer, this thermometer, this means of assessing what I ought and ought not to do, what actions are right inherently and what actions are wrong inherently. Is killing your kid really always a bad thing? So this idea, to end, of consciousness, of conscience, I'm arguing, and I think I've justified it pretty well, according to Nietzsche, is totally fallacious, it's totally fabricated, and it is the similar methodological structure. It has a similar methodological structure as the falsified narrative that the priests tell their devotees, right? What we've done is a philosopher-priest, the philosopher priest, has created this sort of audacious narrative where you end up believing that you actually have a conscience, right? And then you internalize this and you make both your acts and your intent conform to some law. Thus, you are controlled. So I want to end there with this account. I will continue the next section. And with that, I want to thank you for taking the time for watching my videos. I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. Have a good day.